Yo, what's going on guys? Arekkz here, welcome back to another Anthem video. This weekend was PAX West, and during PAX West, BioWare had a panel where they spoke about Anthem, more specifically the topic of Our World, My Story. To support this, there was a brand new trailer which showed off lots of exciting snippets of gameplay, some of which we'll address in this video, but then outside of that there was additional information from the panel itself, tweets from developers, updates on the official website, things like that. So in the event that you missed it, then I thought I'd go over the most important information. So here are 4 things we learned about Anthem this weekend. Of course, if you do enjoy this video, then a like would be super appreciated, and be sure to comment down below and let me know what you thought of the new trailer, the information, and if you have any outstanding questions. Also, if you haven't seen the trailer, you can find it linked down below. Now, kicking things off at number 1, let's start with something everyone has been wanting to know for quite some time, and that is, how soon can you play? Alpha, beta, demo, anything. When can you get your hands on the game? And while we know that the release date for Anthem is February the 22nd, they announced this weekend that there will be a public pre-launch demo on February the 1st. This demo will be available to anyone that has pre-ordered the game, or anyone with either an Origin Access or EA Access membership. If you have either of those things, then on February 1st, you'll be able to play the demo. Now, for the inevitable follow-up question, no, progress will not carry over to the full game. This is a demo, and it's purely there to give you a chance to dive into the world and see what it has to offer. No details just yet on how much the demo will let you play or what Javelin will be available, but put February the 1st on your calendar if you're eager to play. Additionally, Mark Darrah did say there will also be alphas and betas before the demo. So while this is the first officially announced playable demo, expect opportunities to play the game before that through some sort of alpha beta setup. Finally, there will also be an early access window. If you've purchased games through EA Access or Origin Access before, you'll be familiar with this already, but early access for Anthem begins on February the 15th, while the official game launches on February the 22nd. So if you have EA Access or Origin Access, you can start playing on February the 15th. Next up, moving on to number 2, our first look at the Interceptor. The Interceptor is the 4th Javelin in Anthem. We've seen extensive gameplay of both the Ranger and the Colossus, and small gameplay snippets of the Storm, but up until now, all we'd seen of the Interceptor were a few shots in this cinematic trailer. But this new trailer gave us a couple of quick glimpses. They are very quick, to be clear, so they're still clearly keeping this Javelin close to their chest, but there's a couple of things that we can glean from this. The first segment is right here, when the player is flying towards the Ash Titan. This is the Interceptor, you can see the sleek frame, and rather interestingly, it is only carrying one weapon. There's a fair bit of placeholder content here, since on the UI there's 3 of the same icon, and Mark Darrah confirmed that won't be the case in the final game, but it's the weapon that I wanted to call out. All other Javelin we've seen in action up until now have carried 2. Now it's entirely possible that this is, say, earlier in the game, and maybe they simply haven't equipped a second weapon, but it's also possible, given that the Interceptor is the more agile Javelin, that maybe they only have one weapon as a trade-off for their speed. The second clip is right here, where we see the aerial attack for the Interceptor. Now, in case you missed some of the previous information, it's already been confirmed that there will be no melee-focused Javelin at launch. Every Javelin has a melee ability, a punch if you will, and they can also perform this in the air for some sort of ground pound, but that's as far as it goes. So what you're seeing here is exactly that. The Interceptor launches into the air, dashes forward, and slams down. On the official website, the Javelin is described essentially like a rogue in RPGs. They have very light armor, seemingly more so than the Storm, but they're incredibly agile, and they can use this to their advantage. They can dash into battle quickly, dish out damage, and get back out before things get too rough. So I'd be willing to bet that therefore means they'll probably have good burst damage potential, since their role will be about quick, lethal strikes as opposed to extended, sustained damage outputs. But naturally, until we get to see them in more detail, we won't know for certain. So, moving on from there to number 3, factions. Us freelancers aren't the only things out there that are trying to do something about the world. There are also other factions and agents with their own agendas, but throughout the course of the game, you'll interact with them, aid them on their journeys, and in the personal portion of your story, begin to shape the way you interact with them. The Sentinels are the chief upholders of the law throughout the cities and settlements of Anthem. They believe in justice and order above all else, and see themselves as the protectors of the people from the chaos of the outside world. In the eyes of the Sentinel leadership, the freelancers are sort of like a ragtag outfit whose fierce independence makes them unreliable. You then have the Corvus, an extensive network of intelligent agents, spies and diplomats, and their main goal is to scout out threats and remove them without direct confrontation. While they are not above having, say, their operatives engage in targeted sabotage or assassination, they do prefer to contract out any of their messier tasks to third parties like us, the freelancers. The Ciphers are humans that are gifted with, and rigorously trained in the ability to communicate mentally over long distances, performing complex analytical calculations and processing incredible amounts of information. They serve in support roles to the freelancers, providing information and analysis during expeditions. And then finally you have the Arcanists, scientists, mystics who have dedicated themselves to researching the mysteries of the world of Anthem. The Arcanists research both the natural frontier as well as the technological. Their ultimate goal is to gather, categorize and preserve the complete knowledge of humanity. A tireless promotion of knowledge and teaching has been directly or indirectly responsible for much of the technological advancement of this world. And each of these factions will have agents within the city walls, within Fort Tarsis. And since this is the personal part of the game, you can choose to develop your story however you see. For those of you that missed the notion of our world, my story, everything that happens in Fort Tarsis is personal to you, it's your space. There are dialogue options when interacting with people, and the way that you interact with them will naturally influence your relationship, and ultimately your story. However, what happens outside the walls is the shared world, that's for everyone. Your story choices will, however, never lock you out of content that you and your friends can do, but your story can also play out very differently based on the choices that you make. Then finally, moving on from there to number 4, new areas and enemies. This one is largely seen in passing in the trailer, but up until now, a lot of what has been shown is of the very familiar jungle-like area, shortly followed by a transition into this underground cave system. But this new trailer gave us a few glimpses into some more interesting looking areas. Exploring the deeper portions of the map will link back to the factions, since the agents will send us to explore areas off the beaten track, and it's through that we'll encounter areas like these canyons, what looks like some sort of underground warehouse, an area that I can only imagine links into the Shaper tech and the more advanced technological parts of the world, and even some ancient ruin looking areas. It all looks pretty cool, and it's nice to see something that's a little bit different to what we've seen previously. We also saw a few new enemies and creatures too. There's a wyvern or a drake that flies over the top breathing fire. There's that creature that was in the first trailer, back when the game was first announced. Another look at the Ash Titan that is supposedly incredibly powerful, and some of the enemy factions too. But for the time being, that's pretty much it. Those are a few of the key points that were called out in the trailer that I wanted to go over. There has, however, been a lot more information from another Ask Me Almost Anything About Anthem on Twitter, from Mark Durra and some of the other developers, so keep it locked. I'll be dropping another video tomorrow in my time attack format to go over all of that very quickly. If you haven't seen the last video, I'll link it down below so you can get caught up. It's a format I use to cover lots of small bits of information, like the stuff that Mark tweets, so that'll be there for you guys to watch tomorrow. Thanks very much for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you want to check out some more awesome stuff from us here at Arekkz Gaming, then you should definitely try to catch 269 and Paradise Central streaming 6 days a week. You can find a link to the multi-stream in the description box down below. They play a wide range of games, and what's more, we also have the Endgame store. By watching their streams, you earn currency, and you can redeem that currency on the Endgame store for really cool prizes. Those can range from things like games, comics, and figures, all the way up to controllers, capture cards, and even consoles. So definitely drop by and become part of the community. Of course, if you enjoyed this video, then make sure you're subscribed and be sure to click on that little bell icon to turn on notifications so you don't miss our next upload. You can watch more videos by clicking on the options here, but once again, thanks very much for watching, take it easy, catch you next time, peace out.